Ghosts are scary, but the real horror is finding out that Haley Joel Osment is now in his 30s. Feel old yet? We start off focusing on a light bulb in his cellar. Then this lady, Anna, comes down to get a bottle of wine and goes back upstairs to meet her husband, Malcolm. They're celebrating an award Malcolm just received for his outstanding achievement in the field of child psychology. Anna says it's an important night because someone is finally recognizing the sacrifices Malcolm has been making, constantly putting everything in his life, including her, second to his work. She tells him he has a gift and she's really just admiring him now. Before you know it, clapping time. But just as things are about to get going, Anna finds out that someone has broken into their house and has even undressed in their bathroom. The guy's whimpering and he says he only wants what Malcolm promised him. From that statement, you can already tell what's going on here. This guy, Vincent, is one of Malcolm's patients from way back. Malcolm treated him for hallucinations after his parents split when he was a little boy, but he obviously didn't turn out very fine, and he's now mad at Malcolm. Once again, Malcolm is in the middle of something crazy. Malcolm actually remembers him and tries to therapize him, but it's not working. Vincent screams at Malcolm that he failed him and he turns around, picks up a Glock, shoots Malcolm, and then self-deletes. Crazy, right? Anyway, thankfully, Malcolm survives, right? I mean, that's him sitting outside a house in South Philadelphia reading his notes about a patient. Okay, first of all, if I got shot because of my job, I'd simply quit. But then again, I've never worked an honest day in my life. Anyway, this little boy who those notes are about comes out of the house, and Malcolm starts following him. The little boy runs into a church and Malcolm follows him and introduces himself. They were supposed to meet today, but he missed their appointment. The boy's name is Cole, and you can see that Malcolm is really good at his job because he makes Cole come out of his shell pretty easily. Cole is now telling Malcolm about his little soldiers. One of them speaks Latin. Then from nowhere, he asks Malcolm if he's a good doctor. Malcolm says he used to be, and he even once won an award from the mayor. Cole doesn't say anything more. He just packs his stuff and leaves. But before he goes, he asks Malcolm if he'll see him again, and he says yes. Later, Malcolm heads back home. Anna is sleeping, so he heads down to the cellar, but not for wine, for his notes. It seems Cole reminds him of someone. Anyway, the next day, this woman who happens to be Cole's mom, Lynn, is getting ready for work and also trying to get Cole ready for school. She goes in, comes back out, and Cole has opened every drawer and cupboard looking for Pop-Tarts. Me at 2 a.m. At first, Lynn is startled, but she later calms down and reassures her little boy. Cole hasn't even touched his breakfast when his friend pulls up, so he abandons his food and rushes off to meet his friend. But as it would appear, they're not really friends. Cole only asks him to come around and act like his friend for the benefit of his mother. In reality, he's a loner. Cole and I should really form an alliance at this point. Anyway, later that day, we see Cole return back home where his mom and Malcolm are waiting for him. Lynn receives him at the door and tells him how her day went, and in turn he tells her how his went. He says he had a grand slam to win a game, and everybody carried him on their shoulders cheering. Oh, this boy's lying through his teeth. I know, I was once this little loner. Still am, to be quite honest, fam. And you know who else knows he's lying? Malcolm. But he's a professional, so he doesn't just tell him directly. He has to play a game, a mind-reading game. So Malcolm would try and, read his mind and ask him questions. If he's right, Cole takes a step forward towards the chair. If he's wrong, he takes a step back towards the doorway. Of course, Cole is down to play. So Malcolm begins. He tells him when his parents first got divorced, his mom went to see a doctor like him and he didn't help her. And that's why he doesn't have much faith in Malcolm either. That's correct. One step forward. Next, he tells Cole that he knows he's worried that his mom told the doctor secrets. Correct again. Another step forward. He tells Cole that he has a secret he doesn't want to tell him. Yet another step. And finally, he tells him his dad gave him that watch he's wearing as a present just before he went away. At least his dad left him something. Anyway, you think Malcolm is about to have a clean 4-0 sweep, right? Well, you're wrong. Cole takes a step back. His dad didn't give it to him as a present. He forgot it in a drawer, so Cole took it. Perhaps I judged him too harshly. So it's 3-1 now. Is Cole about to make a comeback? It's looking like it because Malcolm gets the next one wrong too. He says Cole is a good student and has never really been in any serious trouble, and Cole takes a step back. He actually got in trouble for a disturbing drawing of a man getting hurt in the neck by another man with a screwdriver. Malcolm then goes, "You saw that on TV, Cole?" And boom, the comeback is complete. Cole takes another step back. Anyway, he says everyone got upset. His mom was crying, so he doesn't draw like that anymore. Now he draws people smiling, dogs running, rainbows, and all that stuff. But Cole is determined to win, so he asks Malcolm to tell him what he's thinking now. The doctor says he doesn't know what the boy's thinking right now, and that completes the turnaround. He takes a step back, tells Malcolm thank you, and says that he can't help him before walking away. Bro, I won't lie, that game was more thrilling than the 2022 NBA playoffs. Anyway, we now see Malcolm meeting his wife at a restaurant and he's late. He apologizes to her and immediately starts talking to her about work. He tells her that Cole and Vincent are so similar. He says he noticed fingernail cuts on Cole's arm, and he thinks the boy might be getting abused by a teacher, a neighbor, or someone. But it's unlikely that it's his mom because he has seen her with him, but he says it could be nothing. Maybe he just likes to climb trees a lot. But Anna is actually not interested in all of this. She's really mad. I mean, when a woman rushes to get the bill, you know she's seething. He tries to apologize, but she just tells him happy anniversary, gets up and leaves. Oh brother, you did this on your anniversary? Come on man. Nah, I can't defend you. But that doesn't stop Malcolm. The following day, he's walking Cole to school and asking him more questions. Cole reveals that he doesn't tell his mom things. Remember that boy who came to get Cole from his house that morning? His name is Tommy, and he actually hates Cole. But it was Anna that set that friendship up. Cole says he can't tell her how things really are with Tommy. He doesn't tell her things because she doesn't look at him like everyone else does. Like a freak. Malcolm now cautions him. He tells him that's BS. He's not a freak freak and he should not let anyone make him feel like he is. Cole points out that he said the S word, and Malcolm apologizes. Well, S is better than N. We now cut to Lynn doing some laundry when she stops to check out the old family pictures hanging on the wall. She now goes into Cole's room and starts cleaning it up. By the way, this scene and another scene where Malcolm is talking to Cole are running concurrently. So while we see her doing the cleaning, we hear Malcolm talking. Lynn now finds some of Cole's scribblings in his room, and I won't lie, they're looking scary. He's talking about clamping someone, burning, cutting, all that crazy stuff. Lynn is shocked. Just wait till you see my internet history. As she's discovering that, Malcolm asks Cole if he has done any free association writing before, and the boy says yes, he wrote upset words. But when Malcolm asks if he used to write upset words before his father left, he says he doesn't remember. Malcolm then stands up, gets his code, and asks Cole if he could change something in his life, what would it be? Cole says he would like to not be scared anymore. I would like $10 million. We now sharply cut to Malcolm circling something in this book that he's reading when he hears a knock on the door. His wife gets the door, but the conversation that's happening up there is sounding pretty interesting to him, so he goes to take a look. He's there like, this man better not be flirting with my wife under my own roof. Anyway, Anna rejects the man's advances and he doesn't seem to be taking his L very well. Anyway, we now cut to Cole in class. The teacher's talking about the city of Philadelphia and how it was once the capital of the US. Then it boils down to their school. The teacher asks them to guess what the school building was used for about 100 years ago, and Cole says it was used for clapping people. His teacher, Stanley, says that's not correct, that this building was actually a courthouse and was full of lawyers and lawmakers. Cole then goes on to say that those are the people who were responsible for the clappings. Stanley tells him that whoever told him that was only trying to scare him, and he has this look on his face when he says that, a look which Cole doesn't like one bit. He hates that look so much that he yells at his teacher for giving him the look, but he doesn't stop there. He starts repeatedly yelling, stuttering Stanley at his teacher. This gets Stanley really mad, and he starts stuttering before banging on Cole's desk and calling him a freak. Next, we see Malcolm coming to see Cole at school, and Cole is still seething. He says he doesn't want to talk about anything right now, but then this is superstar Malcolm, of course. He gets Cole to loosen up with a little magic trick. A fake magic trick actually, one which Cole figures out easily. But that's the point. It was so silly that Cole couldn't stay quiet and let Malcolm feel like he fooled him, so gets him talking. He finds the trick funny though. When Malcolm gets home, the video from his wedding is playing on the TV. He sits down to watch it and it puts a smile on his face. He then goes upstairs to meet his wife who's in the shower, but he notices an antidepressant on the shelf. He's a psychologist and he hasn't noticed that his wife has been depressed this entire time. Oh brother, that's an L. The following day we see Cole at a birthday party trying to recreate that penny trick Malcolm did on him yesterday. But this guy right here is a tough crowd all on his own. He says the trick is stupid and asks for his penny back. That ruins Cole's mood and he just goes to sit by himself at the bottom of the stairs. Then he sees a balloon go all the way to the roof and he begins to follow it. On his way up, he hears a sound from behind a door and he begins to follow it. Someone is asking him to open the door and set him free. Cole pauses for a second and the birthday boy and his friend, who are at the bottom of the stairs, now notice him. So they climb upstairs to meet him. Cole says happy birthday to the birthday boy, and the boys just carry him and lock him in that cupboard where the voice is coming from. Cole immediately starts screaming. His mom hears his screams and immediately goes upstairs and tries to get him out, but she's finding it very difficult to open the door. Cole just keeps screaming and screaming until he passes out. Once he does, Lynn easily opens the door and carries him out, and straight to the hospital, where the doctor tells her Cole is doing fine. But he mentions that he noticed some cuts and bruises on his body, so he tells her a social worker at the hospital will ask her some procedural questions. Basically, he thinks she's a bad mother and has been abusing her kid. She's livid. Malcolm is there observing this entire thing go down, by the way, and later we see him telling Cole a bedtime story, but Cole says he has heard this same story one too many times. He tells Malcolm to, at least, put a little twist this time, but he quickly changes his mind. No twist. He doesn't want the story at all. He wants Malcolm to tell him a different story, a story about why he's sad. How does he know he's sad? Because of his eyes. In the words of the ever-infamous Tony Montana, "The eyes, Chico, they never lie." Malcolm says they're not supposed to talk about stuff like that, but he still goes ahead to tell him his sad story. One night he found out he made a mistake with one of his patients. He couldn't help that one, and he can't stop thinking about it. Since then, he has not been the same person he used to be, and his wife doesn't like the person he has become, so they barely speak anymore. Anyway, Malcolm now tells him that he reminds him of the other boy, Vincent, and he's really determined to help him because it'll feel like helping Vincent too. Cole is touched, so he tells Malcolm he'll tell him his secret now. And what's his secret? He sees ghosts. Not in his dreams, mind you, when he's awake. Okay, Kanye and Cuddy, you were right. Kids do indeed see ghosts. Cole says he sees them all the time. They're everywhere. They don't see each other though. They only see what they want to see. They also don't know they're rip in peace. A tear's now running down his eyes and he asks Malcolm to stay with him till he falls asleep. Of course, Malcolm does. Later, we see Malcolm talking into his voice recorder. He says Cole's case is more severe than initially assessed. Visual hallucinations, paranoia, a little bit of schizophrenia too. He says medication and hospitalization may even be required. It seems he's considering dropping Cole's case. He feels like he's not helping the boy. Now we see Anna carrying the sleeping Cole into the house and she lays him down on his bed. After she does, she notices a hole in his sweater, so she checks under his shirt and she sees marks. She immediately makes a call to the mother of one of the boys from school and tells her to tell her kid to keep his hands off Cole. Little does she know that's not the problem. Later that night, Cole wakes up and goes to take a leak. While he's doing his business, he sees someone walk across the hall behind him. He thinks it's his mom, so he follows her to the kitchen and calls out to her, but it's not Lynn. In fact, far from it. This strange woman turns to Cole and says, "No, dinner's not ready. What are you gonna do? You can't can't hurt me anymore," while showing him her wrists. Cole immediately turns around and runs away. As he's running, the strange woman is yelling, "Lenny, you're a terrible husband. Look what you made me do." Cole now makes his way to this little shrine with a lot of Christian figurines, and he calms himself down. The following day, Malcolm is with Cole in his school. They're talking and taking a walk in the hallway after the school play when Cole just stops walking all of a sudden. He can see dead people just hanging around from the ceiling, but Malcolm cannot see them. Cole begs him to make them leave, and Malcolm says he's working on it. Next, we see Cole being pushed around in a shopping trolley. Good times, free times. Later that night, at dinner, Lynn confronts Cole about a pendant which belonged to Grandma that she found in his drawer. He says he didn't move it, so Lynn sarcastically says maybe someone just came into their house and moved it. "Oh, if only you knew, ma'am." She now asks him again if he took the pendant, and almost crying, Cole says he didn't. So Lynn yells at him and tells him to leave the table. He goes upstairs and he sees his dog running out of his little shrine, and shortly after he sees another ghost. This one calls out to him and tells him to join him. Cole goes to his mother and asks to sleep in her bed tonight. She holds him so tight and cries. The following day we see a couple ring shopping and Anna's the shop attendant. My man is trying to cut costs, but Anna's not helping him at all. After convincing them to take the ring, we see a man come upstairs to meet her and she hands him a birthday gift. It's a book he loves so much. They're about to lock lips when they hear a smashing sound. They go to check who it is, and all they see is Malcolm walking away. Next thing, Malcolm is telling Cole that he can't be his doctor anymore because he's not been paying attention to his own family, and bad things happen when you do that. Cole is begging him to not give up on him. He says he's the only one who can help him. Cole then asks Malcolm if he believes him, and it seems he doesn't. He even tries to convince him with his penny, but Malcolm is adamant. He's crying. Cole is crying, but Malcolm's mind seems made up. However, Malcolm goes back to his office and listens to a tape from one of his sessions with Vincent. He rewinds and increases the volumes multiple times until he can hear a man begging in Spanish in the background, and boom, that does the trick. He realizes that indeed the ghosts Cole claims to see are real, so he immediately heads out to find Cole. He finds him in the church. He asks Cole what he thinks the ghosts want when they talk to him. Cole says help. They want help. Same. Malcolm agrees and then says he thinks he might know just how to make them go away by listening to them. Later that night, Malcolm is walking back home when he sees that guy who tried to make a move on his wife earlier come out from his house and get into his car. Malcolm tries to talk to him, but the man drives off. Elsewhere, Cole hears his mom screaming in her sleep and he goes to comfort her. After she stops screaming, he heads back to his little sanctuary where he sees a girl vomiting. He immediately runs out crying, but he summons courage and goes back to her and asks her if she wants to tell him something. Such a strong boy. Anyway, we now cut to him in a bus with Malcolm. He has obviously told him what happened last night, and that's why they're headed to a funeral together at the girl's home. They enter the house and Cole enters a room alone. She startles him from under the bed and hands him a box. He takes the box downstairs and gives it to the girl's dad. He tells him his daughter wanted to tell him something. The man opens the box and it's a videotape. He plays the tape, and I promise you, you won't believe what the video reveals. His wife was poisoning their daughter and keeping her sick the entire time. The man can't believe his eyes. Right there and then, during the funeral, he confronts the woman and causes a scene. Later, we see Cole at school preparing for a play. Stanley walks into the room and catches him talking to another ghost. Of course, he can't see the ghost. Remember, it's kids who see ghosts. I'm glad you're following. Anyway, Cole comes out and nails his part in the play, while Malcolm watches like a proud father. It's so beautiful to watch Cole be happy. After the play, Malcolm tells Cole he did well, and Cole then tells him he has an idea how he can talk to his wife. He tells him to talk to her in her sleep. Then she'll listen to him and she won't even know it. Cole now says he knows they won't see each other anymore, but they should just pretend like they'll see each other tomorrow. So Malcolm says, "See you tomorrow," and leaves. Anyway, Cole is now being driven home by his mom, but there's some really terrible traffic. While in traffic, Cole tells his mom his secret. He tells her that it's an accident that's causing the traffic they're in, and a lady was clapped in the accident. He says he can see that lady standing next to his window. He goes on to tell his mom that he sees ghosts. They talk to him, and they even tell him to do stuff for them sometimes. Lynn has a confused look on her face, and Cole asks her if she thinks he's a freak. She assures him that she'll never think that of him. Cole now tells Lynn that Grandma says hi, and she's sorry for taking the pendant. She just likes it a lot. Lynn doesn't believe him, but he now tells her that Grandma wanted him to tell her she saw her dance. Lynn thought her mom didn't come to watch her dance performance when she was a kid, but she did. And of course, this is a piece of information Cole would have never known, except for Grandma telling him. He goes on to tell his mom that Grandma said she came to the place she was buried and asked her a question. He tells Lynn the answer is every day. Cole then asks his mom what the question was. Lynn, now in tears, says she asked Grandma if she makes her proud. Cole joins her crying and they hug. Maybe traffic isn't so bad after all. Meanwhile, Malcolm takes Cole's advice and goes home to his wife. He sees her sleeping and starts talking to her in her sleep. She asks him why he left him, and he says he didn't leave her. Then she turns and a wedding band drops. It's his own wedding band. And you won't believe what I'm about to tell you right now. Brace for impact, guys. Are you sure you're ready? Okay, here goes nothing. Malcolm has been ripped in peace the entire time. Oh yes. Remember when Cole says he sees dead people and they won't even know they're dead? Yes, that's Malcolm. Malcolm really can't believe what he's finding out. But he's now remembering when Cole said they only see what they want to see. And he's getting flashbacks of times when he truly only saw what he wanted to see. The time at the restaurant, the time he couldn't open the door to the cellar, all that stuff. Malcolm really can't believe he's clapped. Basically, he didn't survived that gunshot that day. Anyway, Malcolm finally comes to terms with his death, so he goes over to his wife and tells her he thinks he can go now. He needed to help someone and he has done that. He also needed to tell her something, and that's that he loves her. He tells her everything will be different in the morning. She smiles and tells him good night. We now quickly cut to Malcolm and Anna embracing on their wedding day. Moral of the story? The kid really let himself go.